Francis Lynch, what brings you to St John's Ark here today?
Well, today, as you can see, I'm here with some colleagues and some people from St John's Ark, which is where we are now. And we're talking about Eliza Flower and her sister, Sarah Flower Adams. Eliza Flower was a composer who was really famous in England at the beginning of the end of the Georgian period, so early 1800s. She grew up here, just round the corner at number 2 High Street in Old Harlow. And I discovered her because I was working on a big project with Chelmsford Theatre during lockdown, looking for composers from Essex who were women. And that was quite difficult to find from the past. And she was the only one that I found some music of. And once all that stuff was over and I could get to the various archives, I discovered that she'd written tons of music. It had been published by Novello. People were singing it all up and down the country. Choirs and people in the street. She wrote political songs about the problems with the politics at the time because she was very concerned about the poverty, people who couldn't afford to eat while the rich were getting richer. So it's quite a kind of modern, contemporary story in many ways.
But people remember them in modern culture for one particular song, one particular reason, weren't they?
Yeah, well, her sister, Sarah Flower Adams, wrote the poem Nearer My God to Thee, which people think was possibly sung on the Titanic as it sank. Now, the person who wrote that, she wrote that, the sisters wrote that together, but the tune that people might know is not the one Eliza Flower wrote, because Eliza Flower was involved in a scandal, which meant that her music kind of was sort of swept under the carpet until now. So it's been, although people in the street were still singing her music because they were out. So she wrote music for the strikers and the protesters to sing. And there was one point where 100,000 people in Birmingham were outdoors singing some of her protest songs. I mean, it's extraordinary.
So is the Titanic thing an urban myth, or does anybody actually say a survivor would say, I remember that song, or is everybody going to think they did?
Well, I'm not convinced. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, interestingly enough, I have actually spoken to one of the ladies who survived the Titanic when she was a little baby, in another project I did in Southampton many years ago. So I kind of got involved in that, and it seemed to me that people didn't really know. But probably, I hope somebody, I'd like to find out for sure. So if anybody knows, let me know.
So just behind you are local residents, local songwriters who are helping you in researching. But will be the culmination of all this work
here in Harlow? So there's two things that are going to be happening that will all come together on the 25th of February here at St John's Ark, and we're going to do a big performance of her music, which will be the first time in Harlow, probably ever, because she moved away from here in her late teens, and her main music writing, as far as we can so far glean, was in her 20s. So the stuff that's being performed was written when she was in London. And we're going to do a performance which will be British Sign Language interpreted. So if anyone requires that will be there. It will also have integrated audio description. So if you're not so good at seeing things, you'll also find that you can come along and see it. There'll be lots of her music. We'll have a historian who is a BBC New Generation thinker who will be giving little talks as part of the performance. So it's music and all the rest of it. And most importantly, the Demerck Chamber Choir from Harlow will be the first choir to sing her music from Harlow. And that to me is just so special. I can't wait for that.
But these women, they were big radical women.
They were radical
feminists, clear thinkers and free thinkers.
Yes, absolutely. They were. And they were pushing they pushed for all kinds of things. You know, they were involved in the abolitionist movement, in workers' rights, women's rights, and all the rest of it. And but because Eliza was involved in the scandal with her music being pushed under the carpet, there was one thing she was very keen on, and that's the right to divorce, because the scandal involved a married man. So
and their resting place is in Harlow.
So they brought her back to Anne Hunt, her sister, and she's buried in the family tomb at Forest Street, which some people might know where that is. Which is a
Past the Horn and Horseshoes pub on Foster Street and on the left.
Well, I was going to say, but I thought maybe I shouldn't mention that. But so she's buried there in the family tomb, and it's quite an extraordinary looking tomb. It's really big, and they had music inscribed on it, and I mean it's really quite fantastic actually.
So all in all, in conclusion, this sounds like a fantastic project. Is there anything other people from Harlow can do, or just keep?
Well, there's lots. Anyone who knows anything about the Flower family at that time, so they were here from the end of the 1700s until around 1820, that sort of time, or who would like to get involved in singing at the concert. So we're looking for young singers between the ages of 18 and 30, and I'm going to run an online course for ensemble singing for them, and they can be involved in the performance. So anyone who wants to sign up for that can go to our website and find that there, and they can sign up for that. And if you run a choir or a school or whatever, we'd love to come and talk to you a little bit about her. We're talking with some people today. We're hoping to do some projects with local choirs. We'd love people to sing this music. I mean, it's really, it's more, if you're thinking about that period, it's not kind of hymnic stuff. It's not straightforward. It's much more like a sort of dramatic Handelian or Bach passion or something like that. That she wrote with a great deal of dramatic fervour. So it's really meaty stuff to get into. It's great.